reflect the final version of the game. But at this point, we're starting to get much closer to what the final look will be. So I think that realistically, there's no harm in showing off the game on
Yeah, I
YouTube.
think you should, in the disclaimer, you should probably even say that this does not in any way represent the final quality, because it actually doesn't. It'll become even much better than it is right now. That's what I feel, anyways.
Right.
Might be wrong though.
Well, I mean, there are certainly a lot of, excuse me, there are a lot of things that might change. More shaders that can be added, more effects. If they, we know that they don't want to add bloom, but NS2 just added bloom, and it certainly changed things. I know that David has his own ideas of how to create similar effects that he's talked about. So, there are always ways to improve the game, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will.
So let's flip back over to our screen, and we'll take a look at what's next. So, Hale's Shale Guard #2 preview. And what we get with that is a nicely rendered image of a very cool looking map. And for those of you who don't know, Hale has been featured as a mapper for Overgrowth on the blog before, usually posting very detailed, very extensive maps. And he had one before called Shale Guard, and this is a reboot of that level.
Yes, indeed. And the last one looked super duper awesome for its time, I guess. It's kind of weird to say that since it's like a year ago or something.
Yes.
Sounds like we're talking, oh yeah, that was like 20 years ago, But yeah, for its time it looked great, and this one looks even better. It looks much better, in fact.
Much, much better. But, at the time, when Hale was really modding, and he kind of disappeared for a while, so this is sort of his return to the game. But when he was first doing levels, he made another level called Riverhurst, where he actually modded in something that gave the appearance of water, which was also pretty amazing. I didn't have a computer that could run Overgrowth at the time, so I never got to play the level, but it looked great.
Yeah, my computer kind of sucked back then, and the game was even more poorly optimized than it is now. So I think I loaded it up, noticed that it ran at like a few FPS, jumped around or tried to, and then shut it down. So I didn't see too much of the level. But I
Right.
remember the screenshots were very awesome. I mean, no one has even tried, I think, to make any level of that is as awesome as Hale's levels. He has just such high ambitions. I wonder actually how long it takes for him to do these levels.
That I could not tell you.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't want to ask him a lot of questions about these levels because he's so awesome.
Yep.
And I think we talked about before that it was kind of a shame that he made those awesome levels like Riverhurst and Shale Guard, and then he left, and then Overgrowth Weekly came, because if Overgrowth Weekly would have been earlier, we could have had him on and talked to him.
Right.
But now that he's back, and what's it called when he's, what is he?
What's that? Hale? What is he?
Yeah, yeah, he's like active again. Yes, active was the word.
Active, sure.
When he's back, he's active again. Perhaps we can bring him on. So I'll see if I can do that.
Right. And Last, who made our very cool blood mod, has actually been reviving some of his old maps for the new alpha. One called Foothold and one called Valley, as well as some other maps. He's been double checking to make sure that we have all the assets, and also updating the XML. The XML files for levels changed at one point, So he's making sure that they work with the current versions. So you can actually go back now and find his thread. He's actually posted a link to it in the chat. It's
Nice.
in the SPF. It's called re-releasing old levels, and I highly recommend going and checking out some of Hale's older levels. Now, Hale actually contacted me earlier this week to just test out the new Shale Guard, so he agreed to let me preview it. The level will officially be released tomorrow, but this is the Shale Guard number 2. And it starts off, there's actually some text. And I'll just read it real quick. The guard has just attempted to arrest you on the grounds of treason. You killed the first guard, but you must reach the citadel to talk with your uncle, holder of the crown. Try to be stealthy, use the less traveled path to reach the top. Good luck. And, if you look, there's already daunting height to climb. So he's been doing a few things. He's added some arrows to help give you direction, but he wants it to just be markers in the game. So he said that the green flags indicate places where you're expected to jump. So we will start by following the trail of green flags.
Yeah, and the text in the beginning, I assume he obviously wanted that text to just happen when you're actually like in the finished version.
Yes. Ideally, right now it's an object. Ooh, I died. I'm gonna cheat. Sorry, guys. It's an object, so you do have to load in some custom objects to make it work. But man, as soon as I open these maps and you start looking at the level of detail that he goes into and he puts on these maps, it's amazing. And one thing that he said to me is that he intentionally has been trying to use some of the older, long time existing pieces. So there is sort of an older, if you can call it this, there's an older Overgrowth feel to it, like this doorway that we don't see being used as much. Some of these old window boxes and things.
Yeah, and I actually saw him being able to squish in the very first box ever box as well. So that's very cool.
The very first box ever box.
Yes, the very first box ever box. That's the official name now, apparently.
I see. So let's continue our ascent. We can almost see the top. There's the top of the citadel now, and here's another place to jump. Unfortunately, I sometimes have problems getting up here, and I don't know why. The ledge climb, the ledge grab in this level is almost crucial. And here we go, some more enemies. I suppose I could have been more stealthy and maybe avoided some of these fights. But for now, we're just going to keep going. And again, it's like every place that I get to, there's just so much detail. Now, admittedly, if you look, I'm running pretty low FPS. Part of that's, of course, because I'm streaming, but it's not that much lower than what I was getting before. So, these are definitely computer-intensive maps because there are so many objects and so much placement. And just look at this view. I don't know. I think it's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll keep going. Now here's sort of an odd spot where the green flags to jump tells me to go up and the arrow tells me to go around. I'm going to go around in this case because it takes me to another fight, and I know everyone loves to watch me beat up rabbits because that is the point of the game.
Yes, indeed. It is indeed the point of the game, and it's something that we very much do enjoy watching.
Yes. So I'm going to go up and I'll get to the end portion. There's another little text block full of text. Your uncle is gone. The guard is about to storm the citadel. You have no choice but to flee. Leave through the back. Start your journey to find your close friend Han. with the desert nomads. You will be hunted, so flee quickly. So ideally, he wants it to be some kind of linear level where at this point now, guards would be descending on you that you probably can't defeat. So as we run out the back, even the back, beautiful scenery, broken walls, stairs. This is just a great looking level. I'm actually going to climb to the top of the citadel if I can from this side, because he puts so much detail into every portion of the map. It's not like the first level was the first stopping point was the end, you know, that was just the beginning. And I've gotten up there before, I just can't remember how at the moment.
I actually did not get up there.
There we go.
And on the FPS that someone was talking about, on my computer it runs at about 30 FPS, and this level has how many APCs? NPCs, APCs. Hopefully no APCs.
It has 4 NPCs.
Yes, and yeah, I don't know if you could perhaps remove some of those. Probably not. I think all of those are needed. Perhaps one could be removed.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps.
So if you have a really bad computer, like if you have a pretty bad computer or a normal computer, you might not be able to run the level at a good frame rate.
Right.
But it's still very much worth checking out because of just how it looks, even when not in motion.
Yes. Here's another point where I really see that he's going into detail. He loves this this robed figure. He's used it a lot in his maps, but he really has made it look like it's carved out of stone by placing blocks, and I don't know, just the amount of detail and time that he takes into creating this look and this feel is pretty amazing. So
yeah, it really is.
Way to go, Hale. And we've talked about I have good reason to believe that there will be more maps coming soon, which actually brings us to our next topic, which I'm going to start loading it now because I have a preview of this one as well, called The Cave. And as I flip back over here, this is another one where we got it from Zamzix, or Zam as he often goes by, called The Cave. It's empty in the valley of your heart, and we get another preview, another release date of tomorrow, and I happen to know that the two of them have been working together on these maps. But The Cave is something that last week I sort of discussed how difficult it is to make a cave, and 1 week later I'm going to play one for you. So open mouth, insert foot. Thank you very much. But let's flip over to Overgrowth and take a look. Oh, we're almost there. So the idea of caves in Overgrowth are amazing, and how he achieved the cave is pretty cool. I'll let you guys figure that out on your own. And this is one level where rendering shadows and ambient occlusion is almost a must. So I might suggest to them that they include it. And here is this canyon that he talked about. And it's pretty cool. There's actually some stairs up here where you can get a little bit of a better view. Opening up. And yes, I'm very excited to see this kind of, canyon. Lots of places to jump around, lots of platforming that you can probably find, places you can climb. But here is the center focus of this level right here. is a cave in Overgrowth, and here I go inside. And